What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Legacy Talks with your host, me, Kaleisha. Where this podcast we have like really honest conversations about money, about real estate, about entrepreneurship, and what it actually takes to build a legacy in real time. Hence the name Legacy Talks with Kaleisha, right? Today's conversation is really about building while still becoming. I literally have my notes, and this one is going to be very personal today, right? Because it's very deep, because I'm going to be sharing a bunch of stuff. In my opinion, a lot of times I share most of the business related stuff. So I'm going to kind of go deep, which I like having deep conversations, okay? So here's the thing is like there's this idea that you have to be fully healed, you have to be fully confident, have every single thing figured out before you kind of build something meaningful. Like that's what I thought, at least, right? And I have my phone here because I have my notes. And that just hasn't been my experience at all. Like I think I've been in a season if in my life where it has been teaching me, because I'm still going through it, it has been teaching me that I can be building and becoming at the same time, right? And that's where I kind of want to dive deeper into. And the thing is, like, you don't have to arrive to start. You don't have to be ready to start. I am that person. Like, I'm very structured. I have to have everything figured out. I need to have a plan before I go. I need to know what's next before I even start, right? So, like, right now I am like actively building different businesses. I'm managing investors capital, I'm learning in real time, I'm also leading a team. And here's the thing, I am still growing emotionally, refining who I am. I am evolving as a person. So today I really want to talk about what it really looks like to build something meaningful while you're still becoming the person that you are growing into, right? So I kind of broke this up in like to five different talking points I will be pulling up on my phone. That way I don't lose track of stuff. So I had to like get my thoughts together, put it there so it flows and it makes sense. Okay. So the first point that I have is the myth of I'll start when I'm ready, right? I'll start when I'm ready. That's always me. Like I have to have it all figured out. I need to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H before I start. This needs to be perfect before I start. I need to have this set up before I start. Which you guys will also see, like at the end of this episode, too. Like what I'll be doing is sharing, because of everything that I've learned, my word for 2026. Okay. So going back, like it's like the myth of I'll start when I'm ready. And here's the thing is that my early belief and was that I have to feel confident first, right? I have to feel established first, right? Like it's like you have to have all these things because this is what I thought it would look like. Where in order for you to get to B, you have to have every single thing figured out first to get to B. But here's the reality is that you just gotta move. Like you will never be ready. You just gotta put one foot in front of the other, right? And in my personal experiences, I realized that I thought I just had to you what do you call it? I had to be extremely clear before I start. That could be if have a new business idea or venture that I'm starting, if I want to try this whole a challenge or something like that, if I want to travel, if I want to commit to something that will help to improve my business, if I want to take a step to do something into the unknown, I thought that I need to be extremely clear. If I have like a goal or a vision, I thought that I need to have every single step figured out. I need to have it clear. But you know what I learned? Like I always have that get the hear the idea, but like I'm realizing, guess what? You learn during the process. Like every single thing that you're trying to be ready for, you're learning during the process. And you can put so many different things and be like, I want to be 100% ready. I have this in place, that in place. If that happens, I have the answers. And a lot of times it does not go according to plan. I realized too is like it's really important for you to just put one foot in front of the other, whatever it is that you're looking to do. Just start. You know, they always say like just start, but it is true. Like you literally have to start because then when you kind of get from point, if you put one foot in front of the other, then you might hit a roadblock or you might get a thought or some clarity. And then you have a question about something because now you hit that milestone or that path on the journey or during the process. Now you can ask questions, you can ask for help, and you can do research to get you to take that next step. So that's something that I am learning. And another thing too is like when you are what do you call it, like just because you take the step and put one foot in front of the other, that's how you're growing, right? If you're just waiting and waiting and you're like, I'm not growing, like you can't grow if you're waiting for the perfect moment. Like if you are that, oh my God, I'm trying to find a way to explain it. Like, let's say you want to be this type of person. I keep hearing this on podcasts, like in order for you to build confidence, you just have to do that thing. You don't just wake up with confidence, right? So instead of you waiting for the perfect time or waiting to be ready, do you think you're going to grow? Like you're not gonna grow. Like you have to pour into yourself, you have to take that step and do that thing, because in you doing that thing, that is how you are gonna grow, and that's how you're gonna improve. Like I know it seems like duh, Kalisha, that makes sense, but it's just amazing when you go through it and it's like that light bulb moment, be like, ooh, this makes sense. Like now I truly understand this. Now I'm seeing this in my life. Now I'm consciously aware of all these things. So saying this because you have to stop waiting to feel ready. Right? That's something that I realized. Like you have to stop waiting to feel ready, because you will never be 100% ready or 90% ready. Like just go, just literally go. Because here's the thing, when you are becoming, when you are growing, right, it doesn't just pause when you're building. Right, when you are growing, when you are becoming who you're supposed to be and you're building, it doesn't like stop. It's go you're it's happening at the same time. So in order for you to build, you have to take that step. You will never be ready. You have to take that step, because once you take that step, then you grow and then you keep building, and then the cycle just keeps repeating. It's like it just keeps repeating itself. Okay. So that's the first point that I wanted to talk about, is that the myth of I'll start when I'm ready, because you will never be 100% ready. Um, and the thing is, too, is that the next point I want to touch on is becoming doesn't stop just because you're building, right? It says becoming doesn't stop just because you're building. In other words, I lost my train of thought, right? So it's like, here's, I'm going to give you my what I'm learning, because again, this is my experience as well that I wanted to share, is that you're still, well, I am still learning boundaries. I'm learning to rest. So this is where us going deeper into becoming doesn't stop stop just because you're building, right? So in this, what that means is that I'm learning to set boundaries, right? With myself, with other people. I'm learning to do that with tasks. I'm learning rest, and I'm learning that there are also different types of rest, which is insane. I had no clue. I think there's 7 types of rest. So I'm learning how to incorporate the different types of rest into my life as I'm becoming while I am building, right? I'm learning to have better discernment, right? Um, because the old or the early version of myself, right, thought that growth had an endpoint, like success had an endpoint, or it should look a certain type of way. You should get there by a certain time, right? But now, right, I'm learning like growth is kind of like layered. It's you grow a little bit, you're gonna shed, right? Something's gonna happen, some old habits are gonna like fade away, and then you're gonna pour into yourself again and kind of learn new things, and then you're gonna keep growing again. And then when you grow into that stage, you're now shedding some old version of you at that stage. It's like it's growing in layers. As you grow, you shed a little piece, but you even grow more, and then you shed like a little more piece, and then you keep growing. So it's like there's no end point. So you're always growing. It's like every different level of your life, your growth, your whether your business, yourself, but your life in general, it's gonna reveal new lessons, right? New challenges. And when you go through those, that's how you're gonna grow again while you're still building. So with me in my business, with me like trying different things without feeling okay, I'm not ready, but I'm gonna do it. And in me doing it, putting one foot in front of the other, trying that thing, guess what? I'm gonna run into roadblocks, I'm gonna make mistakes, and there's some lessons that I'm gonna learn, not just about my business but about myself, maybe my leadership style, or discover something new about myself. And then I'm like, this is a lesson. Now I need to grow. Now I need to learn from it so I can grow. I hope that makes sense. And even with that, like with the growth and layers and me learning about myself, it's like I also have to have emotional honesty with myself, right? That's where I learn I realize or become aware of certain things about myself as a person that I have to be honest about. Like, and that's how I know, like, okay, I don't want to be this person anymore, or I want to grow. Like, I don't like this about myself anymore. I need to be brutally honest, like, this is not good, this is what you really need to change, right? And also, like, here's the thing too, like, I'm realizing in these phases that some days you feel confident, some days you just question everything. Throughout all the growth, throughout all you growing with me, growing and building the business and talking to people, like, some days I am very confident. Like, I got this, I gotta win. Yes, I'm on top of the world. And then I got some days where I'm like, do I need to be doing this? Am I built for this? Am I on the right path? I'm not a man for an entrepreneur. I should go back to a 9 to 5. Like, all these things, but guess what? It's those days where when it happens and you kind of let it wear off, like, I now have to reframe my mind to be like, okay, these things happen and they happen at the same time. I can have one day I can feel confident. Maybe an hour after or something happens, it changed my mood again, questioning everything. So I'm realizing, like, they can both happen at the same time, right? So that with me learn that again, becoming, right? What was the point that I had in the number 2 point was the number 2 point that becoming doesn't stop just because you're building, right? So it's like it shows up. And the thing is too, is like when you are becoming, when you're building, guess what increases? Guess what increases? More responsibility. When you're growing, when you're becoming a better version of you, when you're building that business, more responsibilities show up, which kind of leads to the third point that I want to talk about. The third point that I want to talk about is responsibility changes you. Responsibility changes you, whether you're ready for it or not, right? So the thing is, like, when I say responsibility changes, like, as you grow again, responsibility meaning your team, because then your team grows, right? So now you have more responsibility. For me, I have more investors. So again, more responsibility. My community grows because I also teach persons how to raise capital, more responsibility, right? My borrowers grow because I'm lending more money to more people. Guess what? More responsibility. The business grow. You start making more money, more everything, more responsibilities. And then guess what? The pressure. Okay. The pressure you didn't anticipate. Maybe you get anxiety, like decision fatigue. You're afraid to make decision, emotional weight. There's just so much things that happen with more responsibility as you go, right? And the thing is too is like with that pressure, and some of the pressure, like maybe you've never experienced anxiety or panic attacks or whatever it is, because a lot of people experience different things, right? It's like with additional responsibilities, those things happen, or sometimes you become very like overstimulated with the simplest thing, and then you're like, oh, how do I handle this? Right? Okay, this is happening. How do I handle this? Like for me, sometimes if I am learning that multitasking, even with all the responsibilities, I think I'm good at multitasking. We're not good at multitasking, right? Well, I'm not good at multitasking. I thought I was good and I was proud to say I'm good at multitasking. But I realized because I have so many responsibilities and so much things to do, I have to focus on individual tasks at a time. So that way my brain can efficiently execute things. I find like if I am doing multiple things at different times and I know I have so many deadlines and people depending on me and stuff like that, it's like I get overstimulated and I'm like, ooh, I can feel it. I can feel it. Like you need to calm down. You need to calm your nervous system. That's literally how I'm talking to myself during those times. Like, calm down, Kalisha. Relax, or I might go for a walk, or I may just breathe a little bit, or I may just move away from my phone because, again, all these things are happening. And then I have decisions that I need to make and I don't want to make it. And I find excuses. And all of this happens with additional responsibilities, right? But here is the growth moment, right? Through it all, when it's all happening, I have to make a decision that, okay, I still have to show up. I still have a team to lead. So it's like, I'm learning to trust and to still show up and lead through uncertainty, lead through all the chaos, right? Make decisions without perfect answers and know that if I make a decision and it's the incorrect decision, I just have to learn from it. It's a part of the process. Like I will not make the perfect decision every single time. But with all of that's happening, with the increased responsibility, right? It makes you become a better leader. It literally makes you become a better leader. And then you start asking yourself questions like, okay, how can, what qualities do I need to have to be a better leader? And then you start kind of digging deep into yourself, be like, how can I become better? How can I show up better for my team? Right. And the thing is, too, is when you start asking your questions and these questions and reflecting, you're reminded that growth is can be very uncomfortable. Like it can be so uncomfortable and it can be so lonely. But it's like it's growth. It's growth. Like you discover so many different things about yourself, but it's growth. And that's why I said before that growth is layered. It just doesn't grow. You don't just grow. Like you grow a little bit, something happens along the journey, you learn from it, you continue to grow, and sometimes you just the fruit dies. Think about like when you have a plant. I was trying to find an analogy. I'm not good with analogies, but I was trying to think about an analogy when you have a plant and you water the plant, and maybe you pour too much water on it, or you don't pour any water on it. It kind of pauses with growing a little bit until you start pouring on it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not good with analogies. Okay, so let me go to my fourth point. I think, right. So my 4 point that says the thing is like with that like responsibility, right? So we just talk about responsibility, but with that I came to another realization, right? Is that responsibility and growth and becoming the person that you are and becoming the person while still building, guess what? It requires unlearning. It requires unlearning, right? On which brings me to my fourth point, which says unlearning old patterns. Okay. So becoming, right, while still building. Point number four is that unlearning old patterns. And for me, was survival habits. Okay. And I think this has a lot to do with my background in terms of how I grew up and what I saw. It's like I was always acting in survival mode, and I think that is something that is so hard to get out of. The thing, and an example would be like, okay, doing everything myself, thinking I'm the only person that can do it and do it this way, and not relying on people, not trusting people. Oh, when and with me doing everything myself, right? Guess what? I'm overworking, right? I say yes to everything because I want to help everybody. But you can't. You can't. When you do that, guess what? It's like your whole body, yourself, you burn out. You literally burn out. And then it's like you're not able to sustain yourself, right? Because you're trying to do everything, help everybody, be everywhere. You want to be superhero, superwoman, superman. But the reality of it, when you're building, you can't do it yourself. You need a team. So I used to brag at the beginning of my journey to be like, it's so nice being my own boss. It's so nice that I get to do everything. Now I brag about having a team. I brag about having an assistant. Now my goal is how can I continue to build my team so that way all these other things that I'm doing, I can find someone else to do it, right? And that's where, right? When now you're unlearning those habits of realizing you don't need to do everything yourself. You don't need to have burnout. You don't need to say yes to every single thing. That's when now you start asking yourself a question like, okay, I need to start building my team. I need to start having better system. I also need to trust my team. I also need to learn how to delegate. In 2025, one of my biggest goal, was it 2025 or 2024, was to learn how to delegate and to actually do it. So in doing that, what I would do is whenever I'm going to do a task, like something that's very admin related, I would ask myself, okay, Keleisha, is this something that you can teach someone on your team to do? Is this something that you are always doing? Do you even enjoy doing this task? Like, do you enjoy doing this task? And then what I'll do, I'll kind of like make a list of these different things that I'm doing. And at some point, excuse me, at some point, what I'll do is I'll just make a note of it. But guess what? If I'm doing a task and I realize that if maybe it's during work hours, I'll be like, you know what? Let me do this task on Zoom and have my team come on so they can watch me do it. Because I'm doing it either way. And I can just walk them through it and use it as a teaching moment, right? The old me would have been like, nope, I can do it myself. I can get it done quickly. But it's like, I'm unlearning all things and I want to grow. So now I'm like, I'm going to use this as a teaching moment because I don't want to be doing this task forever. Right. So that's the thing is like when you're unlearning all those things, now it's like without you, I don't need to do everything myself. Now you're like, how can I delegate this? Right. And that comes from like you having honest reflection with yourself and viewing things about how you're operating, how you're running a business and all those things. And the thing is like I realized like letting go of certain tasks was very hard. Learning to trust my team was also very hard. Like, but I also had to remind myself like, hey, you're growing a business. Um and you are doing this for longevity. So if where you want to get to, right, you can't do it alone, Kalisha. You need a team, right? You need a team where if you decide to go on vacation, or god forbid you are sick one day, your business is still running. And in order for that to happen, you have to trust your team, you have to learn how to delegate, you have to have systems. There's so many things that plays a role in us building that business, right? Which brings me to the part most people don't talk about, my part number 5, right? Number 5 is you're allowed to be seen while still becoming. I'm still learning this. Full honesty, I am still learning this, okay? Which says you're allowed to be seen while still becoming. Like when I couldn't figure out like how to word that, and of course I had to go on chat gpt. I'm like, this is what I'm trying to say. And it worded that perfectly, right? Here is the fear is that for me, it was if I was showing things on social media or in person, right? To me, it's like being visible before feeling done. Here's what I mean. Okay. So it's like if I show something, even if it's my win, it would be like, okay, that's perfect, that's done. But then I'm trying to find a way to explain it. Like, let's say I share a win and it's a part A of the win, right? I would think that if I show part A, which means that's done, that's perfect, that is it. And if I have part B, I'm not allowed to show part B. Oh my God, I'm trying to find a way to explain this so it makes sense. All right. So it's like I just thought that everything that I was doing, it had to be perfect, right? And the win has to be perfect. The way I present the win has to be perfect. But the thing is, like, I'm really people don't really care much about perfection. People care about the honesty of it. So even with that, like even my content now, I try to be very honest and transparent. And I don't like sharing wins on social media at all. I love sharing the process. I love sharing the lessons that I've learned and to show like, hey, yes, you have that win over there, but this is what I'm actually going through. These are some of the things, the lessons and the mistakes that I've made. This is the reality of managing people's money. These are the things that are happening right now. I love sharing those things, right? I love sharing my lessons. A lot of times, even the lessons, I will share them in real time. A lot of times, I will also um, share them after it passed and I have a solution and that's out of the way. Because there are some things I'm just not gonna share while going through it, but after I will share it. I'll show the process and all those stuff. But yeah, going back to my point is that you're allowed to be seen while still becoming. Um, and the thing is, like, just share. For me, I'm learning that just to keep sharing things as I'm growing because people are in love with the process, the journey, and not the end product, right? So it's like it again, it doesn't need you don't need to show, okay, this is where I'm at and that's it, my growth is done, so now I can't share anything else. But just share the process to oh my god, share the process, to share the growth with it all. And like, I don't have to have it figured out. I don't have to have it figured out. And I also had to reframe things that just continue to be real. Like, well, I'm not going to say be real. I'm always real, but if you're not, be real. And I want to continue to to be real, and that it is okay to grow in public and make mistakes, and just put like, hey, this is what I was doing, like a win. And then let's say I win I raise $300,000, I raise $1 million, I raise $10 million, which I will. I raised $10 million, and then something happens where maybe you lost, or the deal, something went out, or your investor, so many different things, right? And sometimes we're afraid of sharing that, but sometimes things happen, just again, share the process. So if this is you and it resonate with you, these are just some of these things that I really wanted to share, because I kind of like having these type of conversations, not just about like the educational stuff and all these things, right? And here's the thing, like, I am still building and I have so much, I have so much more to build. I have so much more growth. Um, I'm still becoming. I'm still becoming Keleisha. I'm not the Keleisha I was in 2024. I'm not the Keleisha I was 5 years ago. I am not the Keleisha that I was in high school, bro. It's been like 10 years since I graduated university. I am not the same person. I have grown so much. Not just, I'm very structured, but not business wise, but I think I'm proud to say I have grown so much as an individual itself, right? And I'm learning to just give myself grace, right? I have accomplished a lot and I still have so much more to accomplish. I've learned so much. I've made a ton of mistakes that I've learned from. So just learn to give yourself grace. So if you're listening to this or you're rewatching this and you feel like you're in between or you can relate to what I'm saying, I love that. Kudos to you. I love your feedback on your thoughts on it as well. But again, this podcast is just for me to have these type of conversations. Again, no fluff. A lot of times we will just do straight business and all those things. But I also like to have talk about these things. The mind, what we actually go through as humans, the things that we have to navigate, right? Sharing who I am, right? So if you're listening to this and you feel like you're in between, um, and just remember that you're not who you were and that you are fully becoming, you are growing, you are building, right? And just remember, like, if even if you're not where you are, where you want to be, it's okay. It is okay. Just remember as well that you don't need to wait, right? You don't need to arrive. You don't need to shrink until you feel ready, because becoming is a prerequisite of building. Growing is a prerequisite of building to get to where you want to get. It's a part of the process. People are in love with the process. Record the process. Talk about the process, right? So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. You can relate to it. Don't forget to hit that bell button. Or is it the bell button? Yeah, hit the bell button to subscribe. That way, whenever we drop a new episode, you can always check it out. And let me know your feedback. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down. No thumbs down. But give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. What resonated with you the most? This podcast is available on all platforms wherever you listen, but specifically on iTunes podcasts and Apple, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts as well, and also here on YouTube. So thank you guys for listening. I kind of really love this episode. So this is Legacy Talks with Keleisha, your host. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a good one. See you on the next episode.